Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. As you can see, I have two very special guests with me here. If you can't guess, it's my mom and my dad. I am actually in Michigan right now. I've been here since the beginning of November. Can I say why? So, my dad had surgery at the beginning of this month. He got his prostate removed. My little brother just walked down. Sorry, guys. As my dad had prostate cancer and he had surgery to have his prostate removed, and we are thankful on this day before Thanksgiving to be able to say that he is currently cancer-free. So grateful for that because 2020 has sucked, and news that he still had cancer would have really sucked. So we are very, very grateful. And so yeah, I thought it might be a good idea to make a few videos with them while I'm here. This particular video is about a topic that I've really wanted to talk about on my channel, and I'm glad to be able to do it with my parents instead of by myself. And that topic is, can we give a drum roll? No? Why I and my family have left Christianity. And my mom wanted me to make sure that I'm clear on this. We have left organized or mainstream Christianity and organized religion and denominationalism. So yeah, if y'all are ready.
Ready.
Dad, can you tell us a little bit about how you became a Christian?
Yes, I was baptized into the Seventh-day Adventist Church in August of 1984 at the City Temple Church. My life had been a life of, dysfunction and alcohol and drug addiction. I came from a biracial marriage and just had many challenges that contributed to my addiction. And when Clifton Davis came to Detroit, having been free of drugs and alcohol for 12 months, God spoke to my heart, told me that He loved me, that He accepts me, and that He had a purpose for my life. And so in being baptized, I was in pursuit of further understanding of that journey and that purpose. And I've been eternally grateful for that day and that experience and that encounter with God for the first time.
All right. Mom?
Well, from the age 5, because prior to the age 5, my family was not connected to any church. And when I turned 5, my siblings, my older siblings, 3 older siblings, started attending church that was close to us. And my parents decided to start going. And as I got older, I recognized who Christ was and really gave my heart to Him at a young age, not fully understanding, but because I believed He loved me. And from there, I just had an interest to know who He was.
And as you can probably guess from the statements by these two wonderful people, I was born and raised in church in a very conservative Christian family. Yes. And as you can maybe tell from my channel, if you've seen my other videos, I am not so conservative anymore. And I guess I can just kind of tell, my conversion experience and how that kind of impacted these guys right here. So when I was in college, I started just questioning things for myself and thinking about how I could build my own personal relationship with God. And I remember my sophomore year, I was in church, and I don't really remember what the sermon was about, but I remember really being touched and going down for the appeal or the special prayer that they have after the sermon. And I remember praying in that moment and saying to God, do whatever you want with me, because whatever you do to me from here on out can't be worse than what I've done to myself. And to be clear, I was not like on drugs or out partying or anything like that. I just was really depressed, and I felt alone, and I realized I didn't know who I was. And I wanted to, just figure out how to be happy, because it was like I'm doing everything right and I still don't have peace and I'm still not happy. And so not too long after that, I was up just like crying my eyes out at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I called my cousin, who was also in school with me, and she came to my room and just kind of sat with me and hugged me until I calmed down. And then she asked me, what do you think God is trying to show you in all of this? And I was like, I don't know, I guess that he loves me. And she was like, okay, well, run with that, and just kind of see where it takes you. And so from that point on, I started journaling. I didn't really know how to pray on like a personal level, so I initially started by writing out my prayers, and then I started reading the Bible, and I started with 1 Corinthians 13. And I don't even know what happened, because I had been reading the Bible and had been taught Bible stories and stuff like that my whole life, but it was like I was reading it for the first time. And just reading 1 Corinthians 13 and seeing that the Bible just spells out that love is the most important thing, and you can have all these other, spiritual gifts and all this other stuff going for you, but if you don't have love, all of it is meaningless. And I just kind of started reading the Bible through the lens of love being the most important thing. And in reading it, I was like, this is crazy, because everything that I've been taught and stuff, that's not really what this is saying. And so I was in the car, so the rest of the year goes by. I'm on my way back home for the summer, and my dad can probably tell what happened from there.
Well, Cara was explaining the difficulties of her sophomore year in college and what she had come to learn about God and his unconditional love. And as she was sharing with me how God had worked in her life, I wanted to add my 2 cents, as I always had. And I explained to Cara that God had a plan for her life, but because he has foreknowledge, and he knows that we won't ultimately always choose his will, that when we get to that certain crossroad, then plan B kicks in, and we start to follow God's plan through plan B. And she explained to me as we were driving that if God has foreknowledge, he doesn't need a plan B. He just has plan A, and he factors in all of the decisions that we will ever make into the one plan. And even though I believed that God had foreknowledge and he knew the end from the beginning, that concept of God only having one plan and God incorporating the entire plan for my life in accordance with his foreknowledge was somewhat foreign to me. And I probably missed 2 or 3 stops coming from Huntsville back to Detroit, and had traveled about an hour out of my way trying to wrap my mind around the fact that God's love is unconditional and he only has the one plan. And what was really revealing to me at that time was that somehow through the church and through my studies, I didn't feel or believe that God could have a plan that was working for me until I was in harmony with his will. And to be outside of the will of God, because I have the freedom to choose, but still be within the plan and framework of God for my life, was revolutionary. And as I began to study the scriptures anew, I saw that very principle being played out with every person that's mentioned in scripture, and it began my journey in my growth and development as a Christian, or as someone that was a follower of the teachings of Jesus Christ.
So we eventually made it back to Detroit. And that just started this really long process of just asking questions. I want to say maybe a year and a half after that, I started law school. And that for me, that was the first time I had been in a Christian educational environment, and everybody was super smart. And so just being exposed to, you know, a ton of smart people from a ton of different backgrounds with a ton of different perspectives, and, you know, just hearing what they had to say and having people ask me, you know, really thoughtful questions about what I believed and where I was at and stuff, I think for me kind of continued to push me to just think more critically about the things that I said that I believed in and why I believed it. And I think we just kind of all came to the understanding that there were questions that we didn't have answers to. And the more we learned, the more we realized just how much we didn't know. And we all kind of took our own different routes to getting to the point where we were willing to walk away. I don't know if y'all want me to talk, because I probably was first to walk away.
Yeah.
And I think, I don't know, like, I think the turning point for me was, there was this one girl that I had gone to college with. Her name was Crystal, and she had come out, you know, maybe a year or some change before I ever said that I was walking away from the denomination that I was a part of. And she was just kind of like, she had kind of gotten, you know, people had given her flack for saying that she was walking away. And I remember we were communicating privately, and she was like, you know, why are you still labeling yourself this thing? And I was like, and I mean, I guess I can say, she was like, why are you still calling yourself Seventh-day Adventist? And I was like, well, because I believe in what the name means, even if I don't necessarily agree with all the doctrines. And she was like, well, aren't the doctrines a part of, you know, what the name means? Like, if you say that you are this thing, then that means that you're aligning yourself with everything that the denomination teaches. And if you don't believe it, why are you calling yourself that? And I was like, you're right. And I think it was at that point that I was just like, I can't identify as this anymore. And that kind of got reiterated in conversations that I had after that, that essentially, you know, to be a Seventh-day Adventist, or even just to be a Christian, is to align yourself with everything that goes along with that. And if that's not what you are and it's not what you believe, you can try to change the institution and make it different or improve it, but I realized that it can only change so much before it ceases to be what it is. And millions of people are not going to change their belief system for me. And so it was just kind of like, I'm either going to get in line with this and, you know, do what everybody else is doing and live those beliefs, or I'm going to have to walk away and figure out what is true to me and what I believe. And that's ultimately what I made the decision to do. I needed room to ask my questions and to journey and to work out my own faith with God, without being boxed in or restricted to what somebody else had decided was true.